$250 million in rookie jersey sales for Shedeur Sanders, which means he's going to commission $14 million. He only made $4.6 million from his rookie contract. So he's already made more than most second, third.
The NFL is officially in panic mode, not because of a loss on Sunday, but because the media war around Shedeur Sanders has spiraled completely out of control. Executives across the league are privately frustrated that a young quarterback has hijacked the national conversation without throwing a single pass that week. That's power. The moment went nuclear after Shedeur surprised a fan with a viral birthday call, a simple gesture that exploded online and instantly flipped public sentiment. While critics mocked it as a distraction, fans embraced it as authenticity. That contrast exposed the fault line. On one side, traditional football media demanding conformity. On the other, a new generation celebrating connection. Cleveland became the battleground. The Tony Rizzo versus Tony Grossi showdown turned local radio into a national spectacle, with Grossi grilling Shedeur's every move while Rizzo defended him like a courtroom attorney.
Let me say something to you. Let me say this to you. Number one, you're assuming the Browns know what they're doing with a quarterback competition. That is a violation of this court. There is absolutely no proof they've had any clue as to what the hell they're doing with quarterbacks. Okay.
Clips spread fast. Millions watched insiders argue in real time over whether Shedeur was doing too much or simply being himself. Browns executives were furious that a locker room issue had become a culture war. They couldn't control the narrative anymore. Nike's involvement made it worse. When reports surfaced that Shedeur's endorsement deal rivaled top rookies in league history, the conversation shifted from football to power. Money changes perception. Suddenly, critics sounded bitter. Fans sounded protective. The NFL hates when players gain leverage outside the shield. This wasn't about touchdowns. It was about who gets to define success. Shedeur became the symbol, willingly or not. Media outlets rushed to pick sides. Executives panicked because the usual tools didn't work. Press conferences didn't calm it. Leaks didn't bury it. The more they pushed back, the louder the support grew. This wasn't just a rookie controversy, it was a challenge to the old order, and the league felt it. What really shook the NFL wasn't the noise itself, but how fast Shedeur Sanders became the people's quarterback.
Give him credit for it is bringing Flacco back, and Andrew didn't want it. That was because of Kevin. Number two, the diff is so exaggerated. They both had one bad game. Your guy did not light up the preseason. My guy did against Carolina. He had a bad game playing with third stringers, and you're taking that and holding it against him. Put Gabriel out there. He would have got eaten alive in that game. And that whole height thing is going to come back to bite you in the ass, and I'm going to take one of the biggest victory laps you've ever seen in your life.
Your Honor, I secede my ability to prosecute.
Fan engagement metrics around Shedeur dwarfed most starters across the league. Jerseys moved, clips trended, every mention sparked debate. That level of attention usually comes after years of winning. Shedeur pulled it off through presence alone. That scared executives. The Cleveland quarterback room turned into a pressure cooker overnight. Every snap, every quote, every facial expression was dissected. Meanwhile, media figures couldn't agree on the rules anymore. Tony Grossi framed Shedeur as a distraction. Tony Rizzo framed him as misunderstood. That split mirrored the larger league divide. Old school media values obedience. New school audiences value authenticity. Shedeur didn't choose the fight. He existed inside it. Some NFL decision makers were angry that Shedeur didn't earn the spotlight the traditional way. But the game changed. Influence no longer waits for permission. Nike understood that. Brands don't gamble on distractions. They invest in momentum. That endorsement deal wasn't charity, it was strategy. The NFL front offices watching this unfold realized too late that they were reacting instead of leading. The media war escalated because nobody wanted to admit that control had slipped. Every attempt to diminish Shedeur only amplified him. Fans defended harder. Clips spread wider. Commentators doubled down. It became a loop. Inside Cleveland, tension rose. Teammates reportedly rallied behind Shedeur quietly, tired of seeing one of their own turned into a lightning rod. That unity threatened the hierarchy. When players align with a narrative ownership can't manage, panic follows. The NFL isn't built for decentralized influence. Shedeur represents that disruption. This wasn't about wins and losses anymore. It was about who owns the story. Behind the scenes, league insiders say emergency conversations started happening fast. Multiple teams reached out to media partners attempting to cool the temperature, only to realize the fire wasn't coming from journalists alone. It was coming from fans, from players, from culture. That's the part executives weren't prepared for. The Tony Rizzo versus Tony Grossi clash became symbolic. Not just two personalities arguing, but two eras colliding. Grossi represented gatekeeping, Rizzo represented adaptation. Shedeur sat in the middle, absorbing shots while gaining ground. Every viral moment added fuel. Every critique looked smaller next to the support. The Browns organization found itself boxed in. Defend Shedeur too aggressively and risk alienating traditional media. Stay silent and let the narrative run wild. Indecision made things worse. Nike's presence added legitimacy that critics couldn't punch through. When money, culture, and fandom align, institutions lose leverage. The NFL felt exposed. They're used to shaping stars slowly. Shedeur skipped the line. That doesn't happen often. When it does, panic sets in. This media war isn't cooling down because it isn't manufactured, it's organic, it's messy, it's real, and that scares a league built on control. The deeper this media war goes, the clearer it becomes that Shedeur Sanders isn't just battling critics, he's exposing how uncomfortable the NFL is with players who don't fit the old mold. Executives are rattled because the usual pressure tactics aren't working. Negative headlines don't stick. Questioning maturity doesn't slow momentum. Even performance-based criticism gets drowned out by cultural support. Shedeur's presence forces a question the league hates answering. Who decides value now? In Cleveland, that question turned toxic fast. The quarterback room became a headline factory, not because of chaos inside, but because of chaos outside. Analysts debated tone instead of tape. Talk shows argued intent instead of reads. The Tony Rizzo versus Tony Grossi showdown became must-watch content because it mirrored what fans were feeling. One side policing behavior, the other defending evolution. The Browns' internal messaging struggled to keep up, with different voices sending different signals. That confusion fed the storm. When leadership hesitates, narratives fill the gap. Shedeur didn't fan the flames, but he didn't apologize for existing either. That refusal to bend made him bigger. Nike's involvement pushed things into another tier. Brands don't care about tradition wars, they care about connection. And Shedeur connected. Executives watching this unfold realized too late that the league's image strategy was outdated. You can't gatekeep authenticity. You can't micromanage virality. The NFL thrives on heroes, but only when it approves the script. Shedeur flipped the script without asking. That's why panic set in. This wasn't rebellion. It was inevitability. A new generation deciding what matters. The media war keeps escalating because it's not about right or wrong. It's about relevance, and relevance just shifted. This is why the Shedeur Sanders moment feels bigger than football and why the NFL can't calm it down easily. The league is realizing that influence no longer flows top down. It flows outward, fast and without permission. Shedeur didn't attack the system, he moved around it. Fans see him as genuine, brands see him as valuable, teammates see him as real. That trifecta is rare. The media war only sharpened those lines. Every time critics tried to frame him as a distraction, supporters framed him as the future. Every attempt to shrink his presence made it expand. Cleveland became the stage, but the message traveled league-wide. Executives scrambling behind closed doors aren't just worried about one quarterback, they're worried about precedent. If Shedeur can do this, others will follow. That's the real panic. Control is slipping. The shield doesn't dictate culture anymore. Culture pushes back. This saga isn't ending with a press release or a performance swing. It's evolving into a blueprint. Shedeur Sanders represents a new kind of power in the NFL, where authenticity, branding, and football coexist without apology. The league can fight it or adapt to it, but it can't ignore it. The media war proved that. The people chose their side early, and they're not backing down. As the media war keeps escalating, the NFL's internal response has shifted from confusion to quiet recalculation, and that shift is telling. League executives are now less focused on silencing the noise around Shedeur Sanders and more focused on understanding why the noise refuses to die. That's a dangerous realization for an institution built on control. The traditional playbook, leaks, anonymous critiques, selective praise, hasn't worked. Instead of shrinking Shedeur's presence, it's amplified it. The birthday call that went viral wasn't supposed to matter, but it did, because it humanized him at a moment when critics wanted him boxed into stereotypes. Fans didn't see a distraction, they saw accessibility. That difference matters. Inside Cleveland, executives reportedly underestimated how deeply the public had already connected with Shedeur. By the time media voices tried reframing him as a problem, the audience had already chosen trust. That's when panic set in. Some league insiders now view the Tony Rizzo versus Tony Grossi clash as a tipping point, the moment when the debate stopped being about football and became about culture. Grossi's critiques echoed old-school gatekeeping. Rizzo's defense mirrored how fans feel about being talked down to. Shedeur became the symbol caught between those worlds. That symbolism gave the story legs. The NFL thrives on stars, but only stars that fit a template. Shedeur doesn't. He's confident without permission, marketable without apology, vocal without being reckless. That combination unsettles decision makers. It blurs the lines they rely on to manage perception. Several teams are now quietly reassessing how they handle young quarterbacks in public, realizing that heavy-handed criticism can backfire fast. The league doesn't like learning lessons in real time, especially when cameras are rolling, but this situation forced it. The media war revealed something uncomfortable. Fans don't need analysts to tell them who to like anymore. They decide. And once that decision is made, reversing it is nearly impossible. Shedeur didn't win this battle with stats. He won it with presence. Presence travels. It survives criticism. It multiplies under pressure. The NFL can feel that shift, and it's why the panic hasn't faded. It's transformed into awareness. Awareness that the next wave of stars won't wait for approval. They'll move with or without it. And Shedeur Sanders is just the beginning. At this stage, the Shedeur Sanders media war has crossed into legacy territory, because what happens next will influence how the NFL treats emerging stars for years. Executives are now worried less about headlines and more about precedent. If Shedeur continues to thrive despite non-stop scrutiny, it sends a message that the old pressure tactics are obsolete. That's a major problem for a league built on hierarchy. Cleveland's situation highlighted the risk perfectly. Attempted narrative control only created more resistance. Silence created speculation. Overreaction created sympathy. There was no winning move once the audience locked in. That's why this story feels different. It's not about clearing a name, it's about redefining power. Shedeur became the people's quarterback not because he asked for it, but because he didn't run from it. Fans respect that, brands reward that, teammates rally around that. The NFL is now forced to adjust. The Tony Rizzo and Tony Grossi debate won't be the last of its kind. It's the blueprint for future clashes between traditional media and evolving fan culture. Some executives are already pushing for softer messaging, realizing that confrontation fuels virality. Others want to double down, hoping resistance fades. History suggests it won't. The league is at a crossroads. Adapt to a world where players shape narratives or keep fighting battles that can't be won. Shedeur Sanders didn't declare war. The system did, and the system lost control of the battlefield. This moment will be studied long after the clip stopped trending. It exposed the limits of authority in a digital age. It showed that authenticity travels faster than criticism, and it proved that culture doesn't wait for clearance. The NFL can either evolve or keep panicking every time a new star breaks the mold. Shedeur's rise made one thing clear. The next generation of quarterbacks won't just be judged by wins and losses. They'll be judged by connection, influence, and resilience under pressure. That's the new reality. Like the video and subscribe for more deep breakdowns as this story keeps unfolding and the league adjusts to a future it didn't fully see coming. Like the video and subscribe for more deep dives as this story keeps unfolding and the NFL figures out how to survive the shift.